Roguelike always find ways to amaze me with how different yet similar they are, and not in a bad way either. Many roguelikes have you replay the same area in a game until you get your ass beat, until you're strong enough to plant them in the dirt. But then they all have different mechanics and flow very differently. You look at Hades and Binding of Isaac and you forget that they're part of the same genre. However, for the game that we're talking about, not only does it accomplish the aforementioned, but looks and plays unlike anything I've ever seen before. And it was all done by one developer. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Saucebreaker, and as you can tell, I love playing roguelikes, mainly Cult of the Lamb, Hades, and now Mortal Sins. Mortal Sins is a 3D action roguelike that's like a hack and slash Doom while you're tripping on fentanyl. Your goal in the game is to get absolution by going through 3 areas and reach the Maw of Sin. Not much to the story in Mortal Sins, and that's fine. The gameplay loop itself, and to be honest, it's all I really care about. I didn't really care much about the story. The gameplay is just that good that I didn't even want to look into any kind of lore details and just wanted to fight. In terms of your attacks, you have a basic melee attack, some charge attacks, a rush down, and a kick, which you can use all of them to make a combo. Or if you're just like me and you just want to dive straight into it, you could just use auto combo if you don't really care. Luckily, you do have a couple enemies and mini bosses to test them combos out, although most aren't crazy unique, but they get the job done. Especially since when you fight these enemies, you would eventually want to parry them and counter with a charged attack. I love the parry system in Mortal Sins. It's not as strict as some other games to parry, but if you're able to somewhat time your parry and get a decent counter, it is amazing. It really does feel like the game is encouraging you to counter as best as you can and learn the timing on these enemies so you can get that perfect parry. Okay, that was a lot about the combat of the game. So what about the randomness or class setup of this game? Well, we have a lot. At the start of a save or a run, you can select what class you want to play. There are 14 different classes and they all feel pretty unique to each other. An example I can give is the Sorcerer and the Vampire. Both are staff users and can cast magic with their charge attacks. But the Sorcerer can stop time, and the Vampire has a strong melee that regains health, as you actually don't start with that many health potions like the rest of the cast. And if you really hate yourself like I do, you can play as the Martyr and die! No, but really, I like the Martyr and I think it might be my favorite class, especially since you start with like 5 curses that can really help and hurt you at the start. It's great. After you pick your poison, you're greeted to an overworld, and you can go into an area to start your run. Once you start a run, you'll explore room to room, and all the while finding new weapons and armor. I'm not sure how, but Mortal Sin makes me love every single weapon I pick up. Plus, not only are the weapons different, but they can have different sub-effects, and wow, this game just knows how to make you feel unstoppable sometimes. Sorry, I brought up the combat again, but I just really like it. But Mortal Sins isn't shy about other gameplay styles. Within a run, you can find these portals that will take you to a bonus level of sorts. In these levels, not only will you find good loot, but the gameplay changes to a platformer, giving you a jump button with your kick. It is really bizarre, but I like the break in gameplay with this actually. Of course the platforms aren't going to be like unfair Mario levels difficulty, so you don't have to worry about raging at this unless you're like face first into a saw, which has happened to me a couple times. I think you'll like it. So, let's talk about the saturation elephant in the room. This game has the most unique art style I have seen in a long time. I have a hard time placing my finger on what style this reminds me of. It reminds me of like oil paintings of purgatory or hell, but the game calls it a gothic sketch kind of look. And after looking it up, yeah, I think that's a better way to describe it. There are settings to change the color and the blur of everything if it is too much for you. It's definitely an adjustment when I first got the game, but it kind of grows on you. But I can understand if it's a little too much for you. While we're talking about the visuals, we might as well talk about the sound. The parry sound is just, it's amazing. It feels like everything has a weight to it, and the sounds of the demons getting cut, and the crits, man. Oh, they hit it out the park with the intense music near the end, and some fights are just Although the main 3 areas don't have much to offer in terms of their music, the last area just sounds so somber, and I love it. Every time I make it to the last area, I just take a step back and just look around like it's a nightmare, and I just found out what my life is. It's the Goon. Of course, not every game is perfect. I already talked about the lack of an interesting story, and the visuals can be a little bit of a problem if you're new. For the story, there's a lady in the main hub, and her name is Helena. She's there, I guess. She can give you some buffs if you complete some challenges in a run, but her story and just how vague it is, not to mention it took me a few hours to figure out that the challenges I was getting were correlated to her quest, but I just don't really care to get more details out of it. For classes, this might be a skill issue on my part, but the Reaper class. I'm a guy for Sives in games, but I don't know, man. I just don't like how he plays. I don't know, man. It just might be an issue on my part. It's just the Sives, I feel like I'm hitting with daggers, and even the ultimate attack, I'm just like, it's just multiple spins and everything. I don't know. I need to give the class a little bit more chances, but I don't really like it too much compared to the other ones where they kind of grown on me instantly. But to be honest, this is all my complaints, and these are nitpicks at best. And I had to put my thinking caps on to even come up with these. So they don't impact my enjoyment of this game at all. So would you like this roguelike? If you're like me and you love a game with a fun, addicting combo loop, pick up Mortal Sins. I got it on Steam sale before the end of the year, and I've been loving it. If you have 20 bucks, bro, get the game. Not only that, but the game I've been talking about is in early access. Yeah, the single dev working on this game wants a full game release by this year. So I'm really looking forward to how the final version of this game will look, especially for how nice and polished the game already is. Plus, he's pretty active on his socials and Discord, and it's amazing to see some of the work they've been putting on. Like Call to the Lamb, Die in the Dungeon, I think this game deserves more love with how good it is. Of course, this is all my opinion. If you think I forgot anything, or you just want to say it's a skill issue for Reaper, let me know in the comments below. And remember to join the cult and subscribe. And until then, I will see you guys next time.